programmers tie themselves up in knots trying to make these decisions correctly.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that they're either falling back on best practices thinking, so they're not thinking about the situation. They're trying to do they're trying to follow the one true correct rule for all time,
Right.
which doesn't exist. Um, and right, everything in programming is a trade-off. That's why it's a valuable skill. And I should say everything in design, all the things that we're talking about right now are design decisions, right?
Yes.
Even though they're not what people often think of as design decisions, but like how you organize your source code is a design decision. And no design decision, as far as I know, is always correct. There are always situations in which I would do it that way and not this way. Anyway, so one of the basic principles is that gather similar things together and isolate them from dissimilar things
Mhm.
because the idea is typically that when I'm trying to figure out which part of the code I need to change, the similar things tend to need to change for similar reasons, and dissimilar things tend not to need to change at the same time. And so, one clear sign that you might change how you organize things is if you notice that frequently, in order to do something, you have to make a change in 5 different places.
Mhm.
If you notice that happening a lot, then maybe that's a clue that those things should be in one place. This is not a perfect rule, but it tends to be helpful, right? And one downside to the way that we organize source code, like the tools that we have at our disposal, which are usually things like putting text into separate files, putting files into separate folders or directories, putting the directories maybe in separate projects or separate directory trees. Those are usually one-dimensional divisions. What we don't have is like tags where you can have different views.
Yeah.
From this view, those 5 things are all in the same place, but from that view, they're all in 5 different places because
Yeah.
this view focuses on layer on like structural technological layers, everything related to storage.
Yep.
And this view focuses on domain concepts. So one of the ways that we deal with that is through naming conventions, right? Naming conventions give us something like tags so that we can then search the source code using our favorite tools like grep or, rip grep or whatever you like to use.
Yep.
And if you look for the word, like if you had chosen to organize everything by async storage and then you wanted to find all the style stuff, if you could at least search for the word style, it would help you identify all the style stuff. So that's all a very long way of saying there's no single right way to do things. And so one of the things that we can rely on to help us out is to do kind of what you did, which is I'm going to try to organize around related concepts. So I'm going to put the style stuff separate from the local storage stuff, even though some of the things that actually, let me back up. Separating domain concepts from technology decisions is usually a helpful thing,
Mhm.
so at the bare minimum. And so the stuff here about styles, yeah, there's some CSS stuff in here, but um, the technology integration with async storage is separate.
Yeah.
And so you can start by, we start by putting everything in the junk drawer. And then when the junk drawer starts to get too big and there's too much stuff in there, we start trying to break things apart. And one of the ways that we can break things apart is, um, you know, all the local storage stuff goes here and all the non-local storage stuff goes here. It turns out that that's all about styles, or maybe we break it down into 3 little things. And so that's one way to do it, is to just separate the technology integration parts from the domain parts a little bit at a time.
Mhm.
And that works well. I also find that just, when you look at the names of things, things that have words in common go together, and things that don't have words in common go apart. So if you decided that the async storage stuff was mostly talking about async storage, then cool. Put that into some kind of storage file, module, directory, package, box, whatever you have,
Right.
and let it be separate from the rest. And then all the style stuff kind of went in one place. And yeah, I mean, the word style is in there.
Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily an easy thing. But, uh, if there's stuff in here that is both about async storage and about styles, then at least what we might want is, um, if this stuff depends on styles and then styles depends on this stuff, that's bad. The
That's
circular
bad, right?
dependency is a problem. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Find the stuff that is in common between the two, extract it into its own little thing so that both of those things depend on it.
yeah.
So that's better. Or move things around so that one of them can depend on the other, but not both directions.